Hello everyone, and welcome to a Replica Airguns Pellet Revolver review. My name is Michael K, and we're taking a look at the Umarex Smith Wesson Model 686. This is the 6-inch silver version, and it's a replica of a Smith Wesson 357 revolver. Now this gun has been requested to be reviewed by many of my viewers and subscribers, so I figured it was about time I did a review on it. Now again, I'll mention this right off the top. This is the tabletop review. There will be no video footage of me shooting it. Now I have shot the gun, performed very well for me, so I will give you some feedback on my shooting results. But again, there is no shooting in this video. That will be followed up by the field test or shooting video that I will be doing down the road. Alright, so let's get right into the specifications. Again, this gun is styled after the Smith Wesson 357 revolver. It's a mostly all metal construction with the exception of the grips and the front sight. This revolver uses standard 12-gram CO2 cartridges. It shoots .177 caliber lead pellets. It has a 6-inch rifled barrel, a 10-shot all-metal rotary magazine. This gun weighs in at a fairly heavy 2.7 pounds or 1.28 kilograms. It shoots in both single and double action, has a claimed feet per second of 425 FPS, and again, this gun is Smith & Wesson licensed. Now I would like to also mention this is one of the German-made Umarex products, so it's very high quality, and this is not a cheap gun to buy. I would say this is probably going to be one of the most expensive Umarex pistols you can buy at this time. Now being that it's a bit more pricey, you do get a nice hard shell case. I won't be able to show you the whole case in here, but you can see it's a nice hard shell case. It's foam lined, molded as well. Comes with a few accessories. I'll show you those right now. Well, it comes with the manual, of course. Comes with a tool for cleaning the barrel and dislodging any pellets. It comes with this barrel removal tool, so you can actually remove the outer barrel using this. And it comes with these plastic front sights. It's kind of hard to see. I don't know if you'll be able to see it here, but if I can focus in here. They do have slightly different diameters, and they go from thinner to thicker. And this is so that if you have, I guess, different arm lengths, you can perhaps get a better sighting with them, so they'll fit the rear sight notch a little bit better when you're looking down the sights. At this point I'm going to quickly compare the Umarex Smith & Wesson 686 to a couple other pistols, so we'll just move it up here to the side a little bit. Now the closest gun I can compare this to would be the Crosman 357, and I'd have to say this is good and this is better. In terms of price, you're looking at a much lower price. You could probably buy 4 of these for every one of these. Now whether the Umarex will last 4 times longer, hard to say. The Crosman has a metal frame, but it has a plastic outer barrel. Internally it's got a metal barrel, rifled barrel as well. Magazine on the Crosman is much thinner and more plasticky, holds less rounds. Umarex magazine is metal. Grips are different, rubber grips, plastic grips. But you know, both guns actually shoot pretty good. Have to say that. The Crosman is a decent shooter. But I did get a chance to take the Umarex 686 out today, and it performed very well for me. I'll show you some of those results quickly during this tabletop review as well. Another Umarex product is the Smith & Wesson 327 TRR8, and it's a very different gun. It's a BB gun as opposed to a pellet gun. Uses a completely different style for loading. You load the BBs in the back, actually have removable shells, and I have done a review on this gun. I'll just show you the shells here. They come out, put the pellets or the BBs in the front here, BBs that is, and go to town. This is mostly metal, but it's not to the same quality as the Umarex 686. That's just a fantastically made gun. This is a little lighter, not as smooth, a little more wobble in the parts. Still a nice gun, and again a fraction of the price. Different type of gun really. Okay, so at this point we're going to do a quick walk around of the Umarex Smith & Wesson Model 686 and take a look at some of the components, different parts. So just want to get in here and show you what it looks like. We have rubberized grips here, Smith & Wesson licensing. Right here we have our magazine release. There is no safety on this gun that I could find, so this does not move in the opposite direction back to apply a safety to this gun. So be careful of that, but you do push it forward to get your magazine or your cylinder out. Now, by the way, the magazine, the cylinder is all metal. You'll notice that it's black, but it is metal, and in some spots black is wearing off. So especially with this gun, I would almost consider removing the black on it so that it's color matched. Color matching would look better in my opinion. You have some more Smith & Wesson licensing on the barrel and the model number here. Now the trigger, this gun by the way is out of CO2. There's no CO2 in it, so I can fire this off. Single and double action trigger. Very nice in both actions. All metal trigger, all metal hammer. Everything's metal unless I tell you, so really the only plastic is this removable front piece, the sight here. And of course the rubber grips. Let's take a look at the other side here. You have your warning instructions, but they are just engraved so they don't stand out or jump out too much at you and look, you know, sometimes having the white lettering on black gun just doesn't look so good. You have your Umarex made in Germany there on the frame here. The F markings for the German market. You have your pellet marking there, the front there showing that it's pellets. Licensed trademark of Smith & Wesson Corporation. Again, we have our rubber grips, metal trigger, and you can hear the sirens and the coyotes outside possibly right now. Living on the farm, you get all kinds of sounds out here. Alright, so let's quickly take a look at the top. Now, looking down the sights, they're black on black. We have our fully adjustable rear sight here, so that would be adjustable for elevation there. And then we have our windage adjustment on this side. This is all metal. Boy, it's getting loud. I might have to cut out for a second here. And then we have again our plastic removable front sight. I thought I'd let you hear my dog howling here. If you can hear that. Oh, there he goes. That's what happens when the sirens or the fire engines or police go by. My dog starts howling. Thought I'd share that with you. This is what I have to deal with when making videos. It's a lot of fun. Anyways, let's take a look at the bottom. We will move on here. I'm going to show you how to get to the magazine, or sorry, the CO2 as well. But that's the actual lever or lever, whatever Canadian, US version you want to call it, and that's for tightening the CO2. Again, all metal here, so metal trigger guard. There's really no place to mount any type of rail on this gun that I could find. Not a big deal. It really shoots nicely, even with the open sights, and I'll show you the target. I did a couple 5-round shot tests, and it was pretty darn good. So let's get into the actual loading CO2 into this gun, because it is a bit different. And so you can pop this off, it makes it easier, and just pull this piece, this rubber grip right off. You would then put your CO2 in, finger tighten away. I tightened mine up pretty snug, like I went pretty hard, and then just give this a snap. You know what? It's because this is already pierced. I can't go much further. So you would tighten it up because it's pierced already, it's already pushed in, but you would tighten it up finger tight and then close that up. And it stays nice and tight that way, so no problems there. Really easy to load. Put that back on. Alright. Now loading the magazine, not difficult at all. I'll just give you a couple tips here. Now you do have to load front forward, so when you see the gears here, you load it the pellet facing forward. Now you'll see that they're a little recessed. I did that because I shot off several magazines with this gun and it performed very well. I did have one pellet bind in there a little bit, and I think it was because I wasn't pushing these flush in all the way. So I just used a pen and pushed them in so that they were flush. Now Umarex says not to use the pointed pellets. They may be too long. They might point out the front. I was using flatheads. Doesn't say anything about not using flatheads, but you may have better success with a domed or slightly rounded pellet. Okay, but these pellets worked very well. Like I said, I only had one pellet bind. I was able to shoot off 6 magazines. On my 7th magazine, it shot awesome all the way through. Didn't feel like it was losing power, but then all of a sudden, just like a switch went off, it just didn't seem to have enough power to push the pellet out. So it conserves the CO2 well right up to the end. So you are going to get really consistent shooting out of this gun, but expect about 6 to 7 magazines, so 60 to 70 shots. Alright, I didn't cover the front of the gun, but you'll notice that the barrel is slightly recessed, which makes the gun a little more believable looking. Has that much larger caliber opening, more like an actual .357. And then inside, you have your inner pellet barrel. And by the way, the tool fits in there and it's octagonally shaped, and that allows you to remove that centerpiece, which then allows you to take off the outer barrel cover. Alright, I want to talk a little bit about some of my shooting results. Now, being that this pistol had a rifled barrel, and also factoring the price, I was expecting to get good results shooting this gun. So I went all the way back 30 feet instead of my standard 20 feet that I normally test out pistols. And I did my first 5-shot group down here. Now each square is 1 inch in diameter, and you can see here I got almost a 1/2 inch group. There's 5 pellets in there. Now I was using a rested position, so I had my gun resting on a sandbag in the front, but I was standing in the back, so there was some lateral and vertical movement going on. And I was using just the open sights. So for me, when I shoot open sights, either the sights are blurry or the target's blurry. I cannot focus on both. So some of it is sort of a little bit of feel when I'm shooting. And to get that type of grouping using open sights, at least for me from 30 feet out, is more than I can expect from any gun. 1/2 inch easily. Now, I was really happy with that, so I didn't want to pump another 5 into the same area. I wanted to show you how well it shot using a 5-shot group and what it's capable of. So then I went and I actually aimed right here. Now there's no big black dot to aim at, so vertically I was moving around. And so it opened up a little bit, but still. Now if you'd taken these top 2 and moved them down, compensating for some of the vertical movement, because I didn't really have anything to fix my sights on accurately, I was just aiming right about here. And back and forth, horizontally, same results as this, vertically a little bit off. But still, that's about a 1 inch group. Bring these 2 down and again it would have been about a 1/2 inch group. Very good results. Now, getting into the feet per second performance, I was able to get right around 450 feet per second with a 5-shot grouping. Now my first 2 shots from my chronograph, which would have been the hot shots, my chronograph decided not to read. Maybe because there was a little too much CO2 coming out of the barrel. Either way, shots 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 all read on my chronograph, and I ranged from as low as 429.5 feet per second right up to 464.1. Now I was using hobby grade pellets, and they were 7 grain, so not the lightest pellets, but definitely not the heaviest pellets. Alright, so let's get into the pros and the cons. I have a lot of pros for the Umarex Smith Wesson model 686, so let's get started with those. Now it does come in a very nice hard shell molded case, and I would expect it to for the price that it costs. It's pretty much an all metal gun. It has a very solid weight and feel, coming in at almost 3 pounds, just shy of 3 pounds. It also has a higher than claimed feet per second reading, and I got those results in winter time. Now keep in mind, whenever I shoot my guns in the chronograph when it's cold outside, I keep them inside and I load them inside where it's nice and warm, and then I go out and shoot them quickly before the gun cools down. So I will get fairly good results using that method. Now I have to say, this gun, even with open sights, got some of the best results I've ever got out of a pistol from the 30-foot mark. And I'm even comparing this to guns that I've shot with red dot sights. And I found, generally speaking, red dots are a little easier for me because I can focus on both the target and the sight at the same time. Now this is a very high quality German-made gun with excellent workmanship, and everything about this gun works very well. Fit and finish, the feel of the mechanics, everything is excellent. It also has some very nice rubber comfortable grips. Comes with a fully adjustable rear sight, adjustable for windage and elevation, and it even has interchangeable front sights with different thickness variations. So depending on how you like to see your sights through the rear notch, you can either have a slightly narrower or wider sight. Again, this gun has a very well hidden CO2 tab. It doesn't hang out the bottom because of the lever that you use when you're cranking it shut. The Umarex Smith Wesson has the full Smith Wesson licensing and is generally a very good overall replica. And as would be expected in a revolver, there is both single and double action trigger and hammer operation. And I would also like to comment The pull weight and release and everything about the triggers is very nice in both single and double action. Now the all-metal magazines are removable, so you can preload the magazines very easily. And the fact that they're all metal and hold 10 rounds is a nice plus. So moving on with some of the cons, this gun is not cheap. It's well over $200 pretty much everywhere, getting close to $300. And some might say that's a lot of money for an air gun. Yes, it is, but it is very well made, and you can expect to own this gun for a very long time, maybe even pass it down to another generation. Now the rotary magazine on the silver version is not color matched, and it kind of stands out as you can see here. But being that it's all metal, I suppose you could fairly easily strip the coloring from it so that it would match the silver version a little bit better. Now I did manage to get 60 shots out of mine. Being that it had a very high feet per second rating, you really can't expect to get much more than that, but some similar styled guns will get as many as 100 shots, so it's a bit low on shots per CO2. Now with the Umarex Smith Wesson model 686, you're not really going to be able to mount any accessories on it, like laser, tactical light, or red dot sight. There really isn't any mounting areas on it. Alright, so I want to thank you again for watching another Replica Airguns video. There will be a follow-up field test or shooting review for this gun, so stay tuned for that. And I'll put a link in here when that one's available. Now keep in mind we have a whole bunch of different revolvers available in the Replica Airguns store. This is one of them. We have the Dan Wessons. We have some of the other Umarex products available in the Replica Airguns store. We also have a number of other style of guns. We have airsoft, blank guns, paintball guns, accessories. We're even getting into knives and flashlights these days. So make sure to come on down to the Replica Airguns website for our other articles and reviews, and of course our Replica Airguns store. Now if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. Username is Replica Airguns, so you can keep updated and follow us there. So thanks again for tuning in to another Replica Airguns video. Until next time, take care.